So where we left off, just so then you got it in two parts, so then it wasn't overwhelming to watch like a 25-minute video. Where we left off is we ran this code that wrote to a file, and we saw, oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that. What we saw was when we looked at the text file that was here, it actually wrote these things here. Now the trouble is if we try to run it now, again, it'll keep adding this to it every time, which isn't necessarily what you want, but for now, it'll just keep adding these 3 lines. I'm just going to change them. This is new stuff. Just so then when we run it again, you'll have 6 different lines, different things. I will make a video probably tomorrow to show you how to get user input into there. This is just sort of the basics of making it right. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to save that, not going to run it. Now what we're going to do is just make public static void read from file. And all I'm going to do is take in a file object again. I'm going to copy this because with all of these, you're just going to have to know you're going to try catch everything. And the nice thing is, it's the exact same idea to use a file reader So in this case, you just use a file reader, and then we're going to use a buffered reader. The reason why we don't have to worry about these ones, like when we do the scanner, it's like, wait a second, you don't have the scanner, or array list, like you don't have the array list. Because we imported everything from the input output, we don't need to worry about, importing the file class, importing the file writer class, the buffered writer class, the IO exception class. Like each one of these capitalized classes that we have in here would have been a different import statement every time we tried to do it. Maybe I'll do that for fun the next time. So buffered reader br is equal to a new buffered reader, and we just fire in the file reader. Now, what we're going to do every time is we're going to get the first line, because the only way to read it is to actually is to take line by line and loop through it. There's no read all and then you fiddle with it. You actually have to manually go and say, okay, read the first line, and then we'll say here while this line, and because it's going to be a string, remember that if nothing exists, the string is going to say no when it does this. So while this is not null, what we're going to do is we're going to print. Oh, I was just doing Python before this. That's why. I just want to do system dot. I just want to do print. And line plus, what we're going to do is manually add r/n, because it doesn't know to do that. And then all we do here is copy this part and this. And then again, to make it stop, we just do our br.close. So what we have to do is we get the first line, we check that it's not blank, and then we print it out. And then we get the next line, and it will come back here and check if it's not blank, and it'll print it out, get the next one. It'll keep going. And then once it's done, it'll just say, okay, we're done, close it off. So if I now need to read We just do read from file one. Oh. And it spit out all 6 lines that were there. You can see here, it now added the new 3 lines. If I run it again, these 3 lines will append to the bottom here, and then it'll actually spit out, 6 lines that are the same. Which will keep happening over and over and over again, which we don't really want, which is why we're going to replace this later with the scanner and just ask them what they want to add. And if they're done, then we'll tell them, it'll just close on its own. But we will do that later. Maybe I'll do that later today, or I'll do that tomorrow. But for the most part, we're going to be using these methods. They might not be static when we do it with the GUI, but this method, this write to file method, and this read from file method will only change slightly every time. But this is kind of the way that I learned how to write to file and read to file, and I find it the most, well, not the most easy, but an easy way of doing it. There is a way to do it with the scanner. If time permits, I will show you that too. But yeah, that's it for today. Just basic reading and writing.